Evening, gentlemen. Now, this is a video that I did not expect to be making today. But as soon as I saw this very inflammatory response from Bethesda to Mick Gordon's almost unequivocally scathing response to Marty and id Software's essential treatment of him throughout the creation of the Doom Eternal OST, it's looking very bad from the case and evidence that was presented by Mick Gordon, and the evidence looks very compelling. But today I want to look deeper and properly analyze the response by Bethesda, which is honestly, in my opinion, quite surprising that they were able to or even wanted to release a statement of this level to Mick Gordon's essential 58-minute read of a response. This guy made an entire dossier of the entire transgression that was honestly done to him. And I'm someone who doesn't particularly get very angry in general, but I was genuinely pissed off for the situation that this brother faced, because he went for many months without pay, and he still hasn't been paid for a huge amount of work and production that he sent over to id Software in good faith. Now, let's look right over onto the post that was released by Bethesda, which is absolutely ridiculous and surprising. Now, if you look over on this post by Bethesda, it says the recent post by Mick Gordon both mischaracterized and misrepresented the team at id Software. The development of Doom Eternal, Marty Strayton, and Chad Mossholder with a one-sided and unjust account of an irreparable professional relationship. We are aware of all the details and history in this matter and unequivocally support Marty, Chad, and the team at id Software. We reject the distortion of the truth and selective presentation of incomplete facts, inverted commas. We stand ready with full and complete documented evidence to disclose in an appropriate venue as needed. The statements posted online have incited harassment and threats of violence against Marty, Chad, and the id Software team, and any threats or harassment directed towards the members of our team will be met with swift and appropriate action to protect their health and safety. We remain incredibly proud of id Software's previous collaboration with Mick Gordon and ask that fans refrain from reaching conclusions based on his account, and more importantly from attacking any of the individuals mentioned on the other side, including Marty, Chad, or Mick. Now, the first thing, before we even delve deeper into analyzing the content of this very strong and honestly aggressive response by Bethesda, this is a very strange response from Bethesda, and this is looking at it fully as a corporate and company perspective. This statement right here was absolutely not written by a run-of-the-line publicist, because if we think of publicist statements and statements that are made by companies after there's been huge controversy or huge claims made, the first response is to call for calm, not make any direct or indirect accusation at all. The absolute strength of publicists, or whether you are watching, whether you watch politicians or you read statements that come from public companies where they've done a mistake or done something wrong in any case, the first thing they do is deflect, fluff type of thing, turn down the temperature of the whole situation to calm down and reduce any form of possible outrage that there could be. Now, what I find extremely interesting about this is that, they must have consulted with their marketing and publicity team, but what they did was to not go and look for peace or to deflect or to calm down the situation. Instead, what their statement has essentially instigated and incited war, violence, or action against Mick Gordon, and they have essentially claimed that all of his accusations are completely untrue, which is something very strange and strong to say, as Bethesda themselves and id Software haven't come back with any receipts or full evidence. Now, before we dissect this exactly, I think this should be very worrying if you're someone who's supporting and see Mick Gordon's side as compelling. Very rarely do you attack something so confidently, so aggressively, if you don't have decent enough ammunition on your side, which makes me think this is going to get very messy. This is going to get very juicy, and this is going to end very unfortunately for both parties very, very quickly. I don't know how long Mick Gordon has taken to compile this evidence. If it took him 2 years, shout out to him. He's made sure to put out a full dossier with all the information necessary so you can analyze it, dissect it, and see all the information that he has to bring to the table. What I'm absolutely sure of is that Bethesda have definitely called in their lawyers, and they're currently analyzing Mick Gordon's response and looking for any holes that they can poke into. And I personally think that they also have quite a little bit of ammo themselves, so they can throw the situation back at Mick Gordon. Very, very interesting stuff. Now, firstly, because we've discussed the very unusual way of them attacking Mick Gordon and firing back, very unpublicist-like. Usually they'd calm down the situation, but no, they're coming out guns blazing, ready to fight Mick Gordon no matter what he has to say. Now, the first thing I want to attack is that they've essentially accused Mick Gordon of mischaracterization and misrepresentation throughout the development of Doom Eternal, particularly on Marty Straighten and Chad Mossholder. Now, this is a bit of a disingenuous argument. Firstly, let's cover Chad. Now, Mick Gordon covered Chad and spoke about him as he was the audio engineer that was in charge of mixing and editing the final cut of the music that Mick Gordon had originally produced. And during Mick's dossier, that's this 58-minute read, he points out that he doesn't have any personal beef with Chad Mossholder, just that he did a poor job at the final cut in editing and putting out the final OST, which resulted in an overall poorer quality of the final product. The real beef that Mick Gordon actually has is with Marty Stratton, and throughout this dossier he brings out multiple examples of mistreatment, ignoring, essentially not giving any thought to his perspective of them being able to possibly even meet these deadlines that have been set out. And from Mick Gordon's entire dossier and explanation, the idea that we have of Marty is an unreasonable person who did not give Mick Gordon enough information or facts or enough material for him to make a comprehensive, well thought out soundtrack, which eventually ended in the work not being of a very high quality. So to just bluntly, just straight up to call this mischaracterization is yet to be seen. From the statements, you would think that Mick Gordon took some real shots at Chad Mossholder, but he absolutely did not. He took shots only at Marty Straighten, as he was giving out shots, not listening to him, to the point that Mick Gordon himself had to go up to hire people in Bethesda. He had to shoot past idsoftware and go straight to Bethesda so that his issues could be solved. Now, if we look over here on the other part of it, it says that Mick Gordon in his dossier has essentially distorted the truth and selected and presented incomplete facts. Quite a strong statement right there. And the thing that really stands out the most to me, that makes me think that Bethesda have to have some strong ammunition with them, is the statement in the first sentence of the second paragraph. We unequivocally support Matt in Chad. This means that without a doubt they have complete and utter trust in their employee Marty. So they're essentially disbanding and calling all the claims that Mick has said is invalid, as they're showing their undying support to Marty, which gets me very, very interested, and it piques my interest to think, what information do they have that makes them be so sure and be absolutely certain that Marty is in the right? Because there are two sides to every story, and the truth tends to be in the middle. It would make no sense for Mick to completely slander Marty and name him publicly for absolutely no reason. That doesn't make any objective sense. And of course, they're essentially saying the evidence that Mick Gordon has presented is essentially untrue. They're saying he has distorted and presented incomplete facts, which means that Mick has only chosen to present parts of the story that benefit him and his essential claims. So clearly, Bethesda is going to have to come up with some strong receipts, and they're gonna take it to the end. They're gonna fight Mick Gordon hard, and this situation is going to end in a very, very messy way. Now, the third paragraph where they point out of the incitement of the harassment and threats against Marty, Chad, and idsoftware. Now, that cannot be at all blamed for Mick Gordon. He has absolutely no responsibility for that. All he did was essentially defend himself after the Reddit post that Marty posted on Reddit, and essentially slandered Mick Gordon, and has definitely impacted his life in a negative way if we believe that his dossier to be true. He has definitely lost work opportunities, lost sleep, lost a whole lot of money from not being paid for such a huge project that took up such a large portion of his life. And if you're an individual who works hard for their money, this is something that will annoy you and piss you off no matter who you are. And I find it quite unsavory the way that they've handled the rest of this statement. They're saying we show full support to idsoftware and their previous contributions to Doom and idsoftware. But if you look closely to the dossier sent out by Mick Gordon, he shows nothing but love to the talented people that were working at idsoftware. It's a true shame that essentially the reputation of an entire game that essentially thousands of people work on can absolutely be tarnished by the few inactions and mistreatment of one person who has significant power in a company. Just the actions of this one man, Marty. If we assume that it is true, Gordon did provide ample evidence, compelling evidence. If we believe that to be true, his contribution, his mistreatment of Mick Gordon has essentially hurt the entire product as a whole. It's essentially tarnished its reputation to the point that people are being compelled and feeling, they feel that they have to. They feel propelled that they have to go out and review bomb. And, while, Mick Gordon did make it very clear that he does not want harassment to these people. He doesn't want people to review bomb the game. He wants people to acknowledge. Mick Gordon has shown nothing but love to the team at idsoftware. Talented people do not show harassment and threats. But I think it's important that such things do be done. While I don't think it's necessarily a good practice, I think it's necessary, because it's the only way in which fans can influence the gaming company and influence that they're extremely unhappy with the mistreatment of Mick Gordon. Because the game was released 2 years ago. It was released in the height of the pandemic in 2020. So there's no other option. People have bought the game. I myself have purchased the game and enjoyed it very much. I've played the game. Many people have played it. Pre-orders have gone out, come and gone. They're probably beginning development possibly on their next game title or on the next Doom. So the issue is that there's no other way for fans themselves can bring attention to this other than ranting or making complaints on Twitter, other than review bombing. I will admit it's not necessarily a good source of pointing it out, but it's a good way of bringing attention to this huge issue that is happening to Mick Gordon, and is probably happening to a lot of other people that we don't know about. Mick Gordon is a big name in the composing space, especially in the gaming industry. Now imagine if you're a small composer or a small individual who's done some freelance or some contract work for a gaming company, and you experience such issues. Who is going to help you? The only reason that this entire situation even garnered any attention is that Mick Gordon has created excellent work, and he's a big name. If he didn't have such a huge following, we wouldn't even know about this at all, which is crazy. So I think it's very important that we continue to talk about this issue and bring light to it. I am extremely looking forward to Bethesda's entire response to Mick Gordon's dossier and piece, because he's put out some compelling stuff with receipts. Very interested to see what Bethesda and idsoftware's legal team is going to come up with, because they're definitely going to have to go all out, and this is going to be a very messy and tough court battle, because not only does this hurt everybody in a monetary way, it affects each and every party's reputation. Marty and Mick Gordon and Bethesda and id Software now are on the chopping block. They're in danger. Their reputations are on the line. If this information proves to be true, id Software is taking a hit. If this information proves out to be a lie, Mick Gordon's taking a big hit. So there's a huge amount of money, livelihoods, careers that are on the line, determining on the end results of this case. I am very excited, my guys, and I'm very interested, and I will definitely be updating you guys on events as they happen. I will be keeping close to the story and watching what happens. Now, personally, in general, as my YouTube channel, I'm not exactly a gaming news guy, but it's important because I usually, look at introspective gaming pieces, look at reviews and games, look at games on a deeper level. But this is one of those stories that everybody in the gaming space needs to bring attention to. I need to bring it to attention to more people, and we need to have a general discussion on this. Very excited to see what else is going to come out of this story. Thanks, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and show support to Mick Gordon. Go ahead and show support to everybody involved. And go ahead and drop your opinion down here in the comments. What do you think of this entire situation? What do you think of what's happening? From what you've seen and from the evidence that's been presented, who do you think that's in the right? Tell me your thoughts down there in the comments. Go ahead and interact with the tweets. I'll drop it down there in the description so you can go ahead and have a look at the entire situation for yourselves. Definitely go ahead and have a look. Let's interact, let's engage, let's discuss this entire situation. Thanks for joining the video. Check you guys next time.